one way, shape, or another. Whether we had our own children, whether we had nieces and nephews, whether there were younger sisters and brothers, like younger siblings, whether they were, you get the whole point, right? One way or
Mm-hmm.
another, those dolls came to life, right? And that
Mm-hmm.
training that we were preparing for came, right? For boys, they played with superheroes. And when they became adults, they looked for the superheroes that became to life. And they find themselves making superheroes out of rich black men like Diddy, influencers like Kevin Samuels. And when these people fall, or it seems like they will fall, it's like the pain for them is the same, like if a pain for one of our adult dolls, true dolls, children, fell. You understand what I'm saying? It's
Mm-hmm.
like, and I really think that this stuff is rooted in something deeper than just, oh, you're trying to make a black man fall, right? Like, I
Mm-hmm.
really think there's like some type of psychological training that has happened here way back from since they were 5 years old, looking for a superhero. Like, do you think that when they can't let go of a man that's clearly um out of control, that it's like releasing a superhero, or that they've made superheroes out of these guys?
So, as far as that's concerned, yes, I do see that. Feel like it's rooted as far as the doll play. I feel like that's rooted in homophobia because just because a little boy plays with a doll doesn't mean he's going to grow up and do that. I actually know someone when I was younger who had a doll because his mom was a psychologist and he grew up to be a great father, a great man. From what I know, what we see, because you can never know what a person does behind closed doors, we see him as a great man. And it didn't affect him mentally like, oh yeah, I'm going to go and do this or do that to what society deems is weird. It wasn't weird. He turned out to be a good man. And as far as boys do look at like an action figure and comparing it to like the role models that they take on, like the celebrities, I can see what you're saying there. I really see what you're saying there. And they hate to hear their heroes fall, but like it is, hey, if a bad person is bad, he's going to fall regardless of what kind of superhero you try to make him out. I don't care if you try to make him to be Black Panther. You can't really worship the man. You worship, I mean, you can't worship anything, period, but you don't define the man by what he by his actions. As far as, how can I say this? Let me make sure I say this right. Oh, so his works is what tell you what type of man he is. That's how I'm going to say it. Regardless of what he has or what he shows, you really need to go by his actions and how he treats people, not things, but people and people who are affected by him. So yeah, I get what you're saying there.
Yeah, because I think a lot of times when we see these scenarios play out, and we've got these creepy men that are like, um, they're not letting go. He must be innocent. That a thousand excuses, all the way down to the socks. I don't know if you know the socks reference, but anyway, there's a socks reference with this whole thing, PDD, in one of my lives. But
And nails.
anyway,
And,
and
and,
then,
and white fingernails. A lot of people don't know that. White fingernails. White fingernails.
yeah, all this weird reason why it's not true, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have what we normally say is, you're behaving that way because you wish you were him, right? We say that, right? But I'm
Yeah.
starting to think that it's not they wish they were him. I'm starting to think it is that they idolize him and that he is their superhero. It is like the unalivement of Superman to them. We were prepared. This whole doll bullshit was preparation for the day that you would be taking care of children, whether it be your own children or your nieces and nephews, whether it be your little cousins, whether it be your own little brother and sister, right? But that at some point in time, you would have that care for a child the way that you had a care for your baby doll, right? And I don't necessarily have an issue with the baby doll thing. I just think that boys need to play with baby dolls too, Right? That's actually what I think. I think baby dolls are fantastic. I think that the idea that only girls should play with baby dolls is the problem. I think that there's something beautiful about putting a baby doll in the hands of a 3 or 4 or 5 year old and having them learn a connection, learn a care, learn for, listen, my niece, she has her baby doll and she forgot the baby doll in my car. I called her. I said, hey, you forgot your child in my car. She's like, I'm sorry. I said, listen, little babies don't make it if you leave them in the car overnight. You better come get your child. she's, she's like, Auntie, can you get the baby doll? I said, Auntie too grown for babies. That's your baby doll now. That ain't even my child. She was like, listen, the baby doll been at my house since. But I think that it's beautiful to put baby dolls in the hands of children. I just think the problem is that we only put them in the hands of girls. I think the idea, and you know, the men would lose their daggone mind, but I think there's be something beautiful about putting baby dolls in the hands of little boys as well, 5 or 6 year olds, for that they can learn a compassion, they can learn a little bit of a responsibility and have that kind of in the back of their head as well, because the women of tomorrow, right? The little girls of today, their expectations are going to be our hopes. I'm going to say that again. Our hopes will be their expectations, right? We hope for a baby daddy or husband or partner or whatever it is that is going to be just as involved with our children the same way that we are, right? That is going to be their expectation, not their hope. So I think it actually makes a lot of sense to start putting some baby dolls in the hands of a 5 or 6 or 7 year old boy, because if they are going to mate and if they are going to be heterosexual, and if they, not even, because they could still be homosexual and still want to have a child, right? If they are going to be raising children, maybe it's not such a bad idea to have it from childhood, that touch. You know what I'm saying? But long story short.
Can I jump in?
Are we going
Yes,
in
BNB.
order, Yella?
I didn't even, Auntie T, I didn't even know that you were still here.
No, I was asking, do we have a specific order that we're going?
No, because I actually had asked the question, and then I was just kind of like, anybody in chaos is fine, because everybody had went around, except I think Empress. Go ahead, BNB. I'm gonna then do Empress.
Okay, can I answer?
I wanted to jump in because you know I got to get out of here. I'm so sorry, Auntie T. I just wanted to piggyback off of that. Did you guys see the Barbie movie?
Yes.
So in the Barbie movie and in real life, you know, so many of our dolls get to dress up and have different careers. And there are so many, and I have kids. My kids are 7 and 9. And the Disney movies of right now are like more women empowerment and children empowerment. It's just like we can do anything. And so the things that are being targeted at girls have so much variety across the board. And so boys need that same thing versus, you know, just having sports and, you know, superheroes. They need a variety of things across the board where they see that they can do just about anything, because for the longest, they have been defined as not being girls. They haven't been defined by all of the things that they could be. They're just simply not being girls. And since we as girls can do just about anything that we want to, and we're telling our daughters that you can be anything and don't limit yourself, that gives us the world. But still, the boys are still being painted into these rigid boxes where their masculinity is just like, be strong, don't be a girl, don't be anything that resembles a girl. So what we are allowing them to play with, that is what is programming, what we're allowing them to watch, that is programming them. And so I think that this is going to be a shift that we have to continue to make so that our boys can be bigger than these boxes that are so rigid. And with that, I land. I gotta go, y'all.
Play with her dolls or her kitchenette. And I was married to a drill instructor, Marine, and he would like always, you know, chastise my son, put that doll down, you know, you're going to grow up and be, you know, soft, you know, and then he loved to play with her kitchen set, but he grew up to be a chef, you know what I'm saying? He loves cooking, loves food. And I have no doubt he'll be a good father because he was always nurturing to her dolls. But the second thing I wanted to say, just like you were saying, where boys play with superheroes and action figures, behaviors in order to learn how to, pick who they want to be. The same thing has to be said with toys with violence. I'm like, my son was never allowed to have play pew pews. You know what I'm saying? I would allow it. I'm like, no, you pick another toy. That's like, that's not something that I'm going to allow you to play with. But then we have to think about how much boys are exposed to video games, video game violence, fighting. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, all of those video games include, goriness and bloodiness and violence. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's programming a new generation. Of course, in addition to music videos, in addition to rap lyrics that encourage these types of behaviors. So I think we need, moving forward, as parents, I think we need to find more constructive play outlets for our male children. And I'll land there.
Absolutely. Empress, welcome to the panel. The floor is yours. You may talk about Diddy. You may talk about the superhero thing versus the baby doll thing, like what I was just talking about. Whatever is on your mind on any of the topics, the discussion or the topic, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Peace to everyone on the panel. Peace to you, Yellow Chick, and Free Spirit for bringing me in. She shared the live, so I was like, oh, let me get on. I ain't been on TikTok in a minute. But I did want to touch on the Diddy thing, not necessarily him, but what we were talking about a little bit earlier with the male's reaction to it and how they're just oblivious. And I just love how men in general, it's always, oh, not me. That man is abusive, but not me. Like, they're never holding each other accountable and being like, you know what? We need to just stand up and just, distance ourselves from these men. They don't do that. It's always that specific man. So before this whole Diddy video came out, I was looking at the men's reactions to it, and a lot of it, especially even with Drake too, like all of them, they're all just like, oh,
wait 1 second. You said before the Diddy video came out. Do you mean the video of him assaulting her, or the video of the apology? Okay.
The video of the assault, not the apology, because I already knew that was coming. I mean, he had no choice. But anyway, the video before the video. I'm not. Shoot, he can't deny them allegations. He can't deny nothing about that. But anyway, so before the video, they're all just like, oh, well, Diddy this and Diddy that. But it's like, what about his circle? What about the people who were corroborating this? What about the people who do this themselves? They just haven't gotten caught up doing it. Are we going to throw out them too? No, we're just going to throw out Diddy because he is the one that got caught. And when it comes to women, they put us all in that same category with the young lady who had she had basically fooled everybody. Carly, I think her name was Carly something. The black girl that had did it over a man. Remember, everybody was going crazy over her.
Carlissa Hood or something like that.
Okay. But black women, we were getting all of the brunt of that. Oh, that's what you guys are good for. Oh, crying wolf, or oh, going crazy over men, whatever. But when it comes to the men, it's just that specific man. And my thing about it is, how are we going to change, not even change, but how is the thing that lacks me for men is their lack of accountability and their lack of feeling like they can improve themselves. They just feel like wherever they are in life, that's just what it is. Oh, that's how it's going to be. But nobody holds them accountable and holds them to a standard. We get held to a standard, and we're now holding our own selves to a standard to the point where we don't even care about their opinions of us. But them, they're still looking on our side of the fence, and they're still wondering about what we're doing. And they're not taking the obvious route of self improvement right, exactly. And then I was going to touch on how women are just expecting this or wanting this, and I just don't feel like they have the capabilities of it. And I'm not trying to be disparaging about them. I just genuinely feel like they don't have it in them to,
go ahead.
You know what I mean? It stops at a certain level for them. You know what I mean? And I think we should just accept that. And as far as his apology goes, I watched a bit of a snippet of it, and like I said, he couldn't deny that. I mean, I already knew he was who he was before Cassie even came out with her. I'd been kind of just peeping, over time, and stopped listening to him and just taking him seriously in general. Even his sons with Sweetie, all of that. Like, you pay attention. So I'm not surprised. His apology means absolutely nothing. He's just trying to, I guess, lessen his jail time and maybe try to get some type of public
that part
empathy. but he's not changed. He's the same monster. He probably slapped a woman up right before he did that video. You never know, you know.
So I'm gonna say
that's just my piece on it.
So I'm gonna say something that's gonna be very saddening and very disheartening. So prepare yourselves, right? And I'll say it twice in case the people in the back don't catch the first time. A lot of men are never going to have sympathy or empathy to DV against women, not because they also do DV themselves, but because many of them, and I'm scared that it's actually most of them, feel that DV is a woman's place. I'm going to say that again. A lot of men, probably most men, are never going to have sympathy or empathy for DV because many of them, and possibly most of them, think that DV is a woman's place.
I did want to say, you were asking two questions. The first one was about the idol, like they didn't have any superheroes. So I don't think that they care about whether or not it was their superheroes. I do think that they do idolize black football players and basketball players and rappers. I just think that it's just about staying on code. That's all. I think it's just about them. We see a lot of these, like Slim Thug. He was like very, very loudly supportive. He called Cassie a liar, but he also has essay allegations against him. And a lot of these, if you look at Kevin Spacey, he was essaying a lot of men in Hollywood. And there was another person who had in Hollywood that had allegations. I think it was that man that married his daughter. I don't really remember, but Kevin Spacey was very, very vocal about it. And I think that even the men that don't commit acts of SA understand that should all men start being held accountable, even them, they can start being held accountable for maybe the DV that they have done, or the mental abuse, financial abuse. Like you said earlier, they feel entitled to abuse us. They truly do honestly feel entitled to abuse us. I was just on my live yesterday. I was talking about how women being SA'd is in almost all genres of media. There is not, I'm pretty sure all of us can name at least 100 different movies each where a woman or a young girl is SA'd, but we cannot do the same, right, for men. I think we can do like one, maybe two movies at the most that we can name where a man, or especially a young boy, is SA'd. And it's because of the essay is very, very normal, and it's almost nothing of a woman. And there was I had got sent something. There was like this lady who had did like this counseling session for men that was convicted of domestic violence, and she was like, she asked them two questions, and the first question was, what benefits did you get from assaulting your partner? Like, what benefited you? And at first they were all like, nothing, nothing, nothing. But then after a while, they started answering the question, and they had over, I want to say, 100 to 200 benefits of why committing acts of violence against their spouse, their wives, was a good thing. It was from she doesn't ask me questions. She doesn't go out with her friends. I get to have control. I don't have to work. She doesn't have to work. The kids will respect me. The kids won't talk back. I can control the kids better. There was hundreds of different reasons why their violence benefited from them. And then they ask, well, then she says, well, what are the bad things that happen? Like, why wouldn't you do this? Like, what would cause you not to commit the violence? And I think at the most was about 10 or 15 answers. I think 15 is kind of pushing it. The thing was, the bad thing was, but what was so scary, like this was the most scary part. The bad thing was go to jail, kids don't talk to you, probation, divorce. But none of them was she is being harmed. I am hurting her. She is being abused. Like none of their answers was her. It was all, I don't want to go to jail. I don't want my kids to not talk to me. I don't want to get a divorce. I don't want to blah, blah, blah. And so that's
It's crazy because if we're going to take what you just said and tie it to the Diddy apology. Did you hear the Diddy apology?
I saw it, but it made me really sick to my stomach. So I only got through like maybe 30, 40 seconds.
Okay. That'll be enough. I will tell you this, that in the Diddy apology, he never mentions her name. He never says her name. He never directly apologizes to Cassie or to her family. He never directly says how he harmed her or anyone else. He says it was a dark time for himself. He was under the influence himself. He has fixed himself. He took himself to therapy. And now himself is better. And I'm so sorry. That's the lowdown of the whole thing. None of it, just tying into what you said just now, none of even his apology had shit to do with her at all.